Juan, we have you answer I think you answered the question correct. You didn't answer. Go ahead.
I've only dated my age, but I think the oldest I would go is 7 years older than me.
Okay. And so you're
32, so that would be 39.
okay. What about you?
I would say 24.
So you're 18,
Yeah.
Max 24. What about you?
I'm 23. I guess the oldest I would go is anything below 30.
Okay, because you did say you are against age gap relationships.
I am.
I'll get into that in just a moment.
Johns_myth donated $200. Hard a line? More like out of line.
Boom.
Boom. Nailed
Roasted.
it.
Yo, John, thank you for the TTS. Appreciate it. Thank you. So you're against... actually, let me just get everyone's answers. Go ahead.
23. My max is from 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
19, I would say max like 10 years.
Okay, so you said 23, Max would be what?
I guess
29?
29, 28.
Okay, and you said you're against age gap relationships.
Yes.
Why?
I see a lot of people that date 20-year-olds dating 40-year-olds, 20-year-olds dating 40 and above, and I don't know, that's like my dad's age, so that kind of gives me a very creepy vibe, a very ick vibe.
Why is it creepy?
Just because I think like let's say if my dad ever divorced my mom and he ended up dating someone younger, it would make me very uncomfortable.
Why?
So I just think it's a very, I don't even know how to explain that. It's
Like, oh, now you're dating my friend?
sorry.
Like, now you're dating my friend? Like, we went to high school together and you're dating her, but you
That's
had
a great
me.
example. That was yeah.
Does it fall into like religion?
What?
Well,
It could.
Yeah.
in what term?
How would that...
What do you mean?
I'm not sure how that follows at all, but okay.
Well, I mean, like, if you think about it, like an older man, they have more experience, and like if you are more like in the religion wise, wouldn't you want someone to be in the same field or?
No, I think just because you're older, that doesn't make you more experienced or smarter or anything that like that.
Okay.
Okay.
I see that.
So I've really not really heard any compelling arguments as to why it's wrong or creepy.
Because I don't think anyone said that.
She literally said it's creepy.
It does creep me
And
out.
then actually you co-signed when you said, well, what if she could have also, at the time I was in high school, she could have also been in high school, even though we're talking about adult
I didn't say it was
relationships.
creepy. I just said that that's a little bit weird. Like, okay.
Weird, creepy.
Well, no, because you could do that because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to date older men. So I can't be mad at you for wanting to date a 40-year-old guy. Just why is it my dad? Like, you feel me?
Okay, that's another conversation.
Exactly. That's a different conversation. That's why.
Okay,
That's what I was saying.
Let's hear a bit more from you on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I personally, I'm not comfortable with that. I would like someone within my own age range, somebody that I guess I could relate to a little more, and I don't know. It's
Okay.
just my preference.
You'd want someone you can relate to.
Well, no,
little more.
that doesn't. I guess I could relate to somebody a little bit older, but I don't think just because, I don't know. I personally would be pretty creeped out. I don't think my family, my parents would be okay with that as well, and that's very important to me.
Would you date Ryan Reynolds?
No, I would not. I don't care if he's
Ford-
America's sweetheart or whatever.
47.
No.
Why do you keep bringing him up? You like Ryan
what's
Reynolds?
I feel like
your
a lot of
obsession with
girls-
Ryan
He likes
Reynolds?
Ryan
He's married.
Reynolds.
I think a lot of girls think that he's got a good personality, funny, charming, successful, in good shape, status, celebrity, A-list movie star. I don't know. I think a lot of Henry Cavill or whatever the fuck. He's also kind of
Superman.
Superman. Yeah. So okay, it's creepy. It's weird. Okay.
I mean, it goes back to being subjective, right? Everyone
Right,
has
everyone's
their personal
opinion.
preferences. Everyone
Yeah.
has their thing, their kinks, their whatever. So it's like, if it's for you, it's for
Okay.
you. If it's not,
Well, so
it's not.
there's a couple angles here. So there's of course how women feel about it, and then there's different criticisms. There's like, well, it's weird, but then there's also, well, older men should date women their own age. That's another argument I sometimes hear. I've yet to actually hear a compelling argument in terms of the benefits to the man why he should date a 35-year-old woman over a 25-year-old woman who's almost surely going to be more physically attractive. Or
Because is it just about attraction?
Yes.
I mean, okay, well,
That's
then
why you
I have
date
nothing to
people.
say.
That's why you date people, because you're attracted to them.
I've dated an ugly person, but they were good.
You're attracted to them in some capacity.
Yeah, so you could be attracted to a 35-year-old woman because she's nice. She does everything that you ever expected a woman to do for you.
Okay, so
She's
here-
hot
all
still,
else-
and she's 35.
So sure, yes, you can still be attractive at 35. That's not the argument I'm making. What I'm making is that I've yet to hear an actual compelling argument in terms of the actual tangible, articulable benefits to the man for dating a 35-year-old woman versus a 25-year-old woman.
I don't think there is a benefit. I mean, if you put them side by side, if you put a 25-year-old woman and a 35-year-old woman and they have the exact same characteristics, mature, not take mature off because no one cares about that apparently, but beautiful, kind, passionate about something, like actually has a purpose in her life other than him. If you put them side by side and he had to choose, definitely the 25-year-old. Why not? But I think that if you're filtering for that, everything else aside, that's what I was saying earlier. Is
Filtering
a little bit
for what?
Like if we're just talking hypothetically, like I just want a 20-year-old, but I mean, if you see a hot 30-year-old, like, are you going to say sorry, no, because you're actually 30, so I'm gonna pass on this one? If everything else is there, but if you put them side by side and they're exactly the same, that's like saying for a woman, if you had two men side by side, he's kind, he's loyal to you, he's funny, he continues to court you. One's a millionaire, one is broke. Who would you choose? It's obvious. Everyone's going to choose the guy who can take care of her also financially. So yeah, I don't think anyone's making a compelling argument because it's not compelling.
So I
the
don't think
25-year-old is more attractive.
So I don't think these men that would be inclined to date a 20-year-old woman and they're in their 30s or whatever, I don't think they would necessarily be opposed to dating an attractive woman who met their standards who's 30, for example. I think we're more so talking about the general, a more general point of view here where men have a tendency to also find women who are in their early 20s attractive and might prefer them over, in terms of finding them physically attractive, over women in their 30s.
Which is fair because they're at their peak.
But also, I think it's a little bit easier to shape a woman that hasn't been through as much as a 35-year-old woman. Like if you're...
Yeah, so she's got a bunch of... You're talking about baggage?
Yeah, you can say,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like this and I want you to do it this way. And depending on how you treat her, she'll do it differently in comparison to a 35 woman who's been with a man that's like that and it didn't work out for her. Does that make sense? Like a girl who hasn't been through that is easier to shape than a woman that's already been through that.
So like a woman who's submissive, essentially. Younger women are more capable of being submissive.
Not necessarily, because there are a lot of independent, strong-headed women.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of,
but there is a bigger possibility that you could get a woman that you could make do what you want to do at a younger age than if they were older and mature and they've already been through a situation like that. Just like how you would counter with bodies. You say, oh, that kind of brings down.
Maddie, could you read it?
Dating coach my arse. At 35, all the women in my dating pool were broken as blank. I dated younger because their value, not just looks, ninny, was much higher, less baggage, not as broken.
So is he saying that the 20-year-olds had more money than the 35-year-olds? Is that what he's saying?
They are more hustlers.
No,
broke.
he said
Oh,
that
broke.
they're not just beautiful,
Gotcha.
but also have less baggage.
Gotcha.
Less baggage, yep.
I think I brought that up.
Same with body
So
count.
it's funny because and this is just being devil's advocate here because I agree with what you're saying. Obviously, when comparing a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old, especially if they're looking for children and a family and longevity, they're going to pick the 20-year-old over the 30-year-old. That's simple. But it's funny because men look at older women as having baggage and more to them, but women look at older men as had more experiences. So it's like what men look for in women is completely different than what women look for in men. So like when a woman is looking for an older man, she's looking for someone that has experience, someone that has or is able to provide security and safety for them, whereas a man is looking for different things. So it's just clear that we look for different qualities in the opposite
Well,
sex.
I think part of that has to do, like, when men go through difficult things in life, whether it be relationship-wise or they go through some trials, tribulations, it tends to make them more masculine.
Oh, 100%.
They become stronger. They become tougher.
And when
when
become more
women
broken.
become stronger and tougher, and they've been through more things, they become more masculine too.
And less
So when you
appealing
go
for
through
men.
more like potentially traumatic things,
100%.
you become, well, I mean, it can break people too, but you become stronger,
Right.
more masculine, whatever. So, but
And women seem to be more prone to internalize trauma long term than men do as well. So they hold on to these kind of trauma-filled events much more than men seem to. And so when you're looking at it from that aspect, I think that that is even the distinction that we would make between the masculine and the feminine in the case of trauma, is that men are able to shrug it off seemingly a bit easier than women are.
It's true.
you have thoughts on this?
I don't know. I don't think that, I don't agree with that. I think men, well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's different with each man, but I think they just don't show it as much as women. Either talk about it or show it. It still affects them the same.
Also in a different generation, if we've noticed. If I could be completely honest, younger men have became more soft than what you would have expected a man to be in a different generation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So you
because
have
they're
to think like
feminized.
a man 10 years older than Morgan is 28, a man 10 years older than me is 38. So they grew up, I would say, in completely different generations,
different.
and they're going to act completely
Yeah.
different. So it's super interesting to get your point of view, because a man 10 years older than me that I'm going to go after is going to be
Yeah.
completely different than I'm not going after a guy my age because of the way he is, and you're essentially going after a guy my age. Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's
Wait,
just like
I got a question.
I don't actually think that men in your age group, even at 18, internalize trauma the same way that women do. They don't seem to be on the same amount of antidepressants, even at your age. They don't seem to have
'Cause they won't go get help.
The same amount of
Yeah.
cope when it comes to trauma. Even at 18, 19, 20, that's not what the data is bearing out.
Right.
They don't seem to internalize trauma even then the same way.
I definitely do think that men and women handle it differently, but I also think generationally it's handled slightly different as well. Very minimal, but I would say I'm 100% agreeing with you that women internalize it differently than men, but I also think that men nowadays are more emotional than men.
Well, do you think that they're
more accepted.
more emotional, or do you think they want to be more emotional, or do you think that they're told that kind of this feminized expectation of no, it is okay to share your emotions, which is always a bad idea for men to do? Don't you think that that's a kind of a feminized outlook where kind of feminists are pushing that men
100%.
get more in touch with their feminist side, even though they themselves seem to hate when they actually do?
Because if you think about it, like, think of like my father and my grandfather. It's like a boy cries and it's like, toughen up. But nowadays it's like they get upset and it's like, no, honey, it's okay to cry. So it's, again, that's generational. Like
Wait,
nowadays.
you have thoughts on this? Go ahead.
I just think that I don't think men are, I mean, obviously like a man crying, they're like, oh, that's like, some men are going to be like, that's like you're a child, like you're acting like a child, but, or whatever. I don't think that is a bad thing. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing to show your emotions. I think that shows that you're emotionally available.
Oh yeah, sure. So when the firefighter shows up to put out the fire, you want him to cry, or do you
Well,
want him to
there's
put out
no
the
reason
fire?
to
After he's
cry.
done saving everyone.
Yeah, if he, yeah.
If he's crying because somebody got hurt and he couldn't save them, that's different than if you're just crying because it's a fire.
Right, but you're talking about emotional stability versus not. The reason that men are told not to cry, and the reason that they're told not to share their feelings and make themselves overly emotionally available to women, especially by other men, is because they have to act under conditions which are highly stressful and highly emotional, and they need to be able to control that, whereas women generally do not. Women aren't the ones who are going to run into the building and pull men out, even if they see a baby who's on fire. And if they, no, don't look at me skeptically, they're not. There's no women firefighters who are going to pull out 250-pound men. It's not going to happen ever. It doesn't happen almost anywhere.
So why are
except in
women
some
being
maybe
drafted?
Bizarre, rare fluke. But
What?
anyway.
Wait, what?
So this aside, yeah, they're told to control their emotions because of that. Because if they're in a situation which is highly stressful, they can't collapse under that weight.
Yeah, I think there's situations where you can control your emotions, but that doesn't mean that they can't express their emotions in other situations.
Yeah, perhaps they can, right? But the more that you train a person to become too emotionally expressive, to break down their kind of stoic frame, if you will, the more likely that there are to do that even under situations which are highly stressful. So if you're a person who controls your
Grid
emotions
One
in and outside of
Motorsports
stressful
donated
situations, you're less prone to
$200.
act on them.
The only reason a man should cry is if there is smoke in his eyes. Women have feminized men and now hate the men they have created. Do better. The patriarchy is here to help. Repent your feminist ways.
He's a brave and a decent man. He's a pioneer.
Yeah, thank you, Good One. Appreciate it. Wait, so you guys
Yeah,
think...
so just to finish it off just very quickly, what I was saying is that the more that you break your frame, let's just call it a stoic frame. That's not really accurate, but I think it's accurate enough. The more that you break that, the more prone you will be to break that even under a highly stressful situation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.